Good morning. I would like to ask you to think of your favorite food. Everybody got that thought? Now I'm assuming it's a good thought, and some of you might even have said, I need to have that again soon. Now I'd like you to think of your favorite food, and we're going to add imagination. So see your favorite food in front of you. Now picture the place you like to eat it at. Is it curled up on a couch in front of the TV? Is it around a family kitchen table? Is it in some faraway country? What is the aroma that you are smelling? What is the first taste and texture like of that bite? What is starting to happen to you? Are you feeling soothed or energized or just full of happiness? Now that I have added spice to your thought, how many of you are saying, I gotta have that today? Imagination brings an idea to life. When we apply the faculty of divine imagination to an idea, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, says, with imagination we lay hold of ideas and we clothe them in substance. With imagination we take a thought in our mind and start to create mental images, pictures of it, giving it shape, color, texture. William Warsh, in his book, How to Use Your 12 Gifts from God, says the following about imagination. Imagination is the eye of your consciousness. It is your ability to perceive the limitless possibilities of your good. He goes on to say, imagination is the point of consciousness where you can see and picture your desire. Even though that desire is still invisible, you can see it in your mind's eye. Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett, author of the book Divine Audacity, which is a book about the 12 powers, explains about 3 components or aspects of imagination: conception, vision, and embodiment. You will find those words on the label on the little envelope that was in your bulletin. I will be talking to those 3 points. How many of you have daydreamed? Just checked out from reality and just let your mind wander. Just look at all the imagined possibilities you have. The list of ideas seems endless when we daydream. Well, not only when we're daydreaming, but all the time we have endless lists of ideas in our mind. Whenever we look at something, or overhear something, or read something, our mind starts to create ideas. Then all of a sudden, one of these ideas captures our attention, and we pull it into our conscious awareness. We are bringing the idea into conception. It is no longer a fleeting thought. It is, as William Warsh says, we are bringing it into our mind's eye. I want to talk to you about that cornfield in my title talk. In the 1989 movie Field of Dreams, Ray Kinsella is standing out in his cornfields late in the evening. And as he's walking through them towards the farmhouse, he hears a voice say, "Whisper, if you build it, they will come." He just stops and looks around and says, he's like, where is this coming from? Like, there's nothing but cornfields and his farmhouse. Shakes it off and he starts walking towards the house again, and he hears the whisper again. This time his wife is sitting on the front porch and he hollers out at her across the field, "Did you hear that?" She yells back, "Hear what?" I often think of this opening scene from this movie when an idea pops into my head, especially when I think the idea is just from left field. Like, I don't know where it came from. It seems like it's impossible, yet here it is. That's kind of what happened for me when I realized that I was supposed to become a minister, and yet I just thought that is impossible. But here I stand. When I was first introduced to the 12 powers and I saw the one imagination, I just skipped right over it. I haven't had the best relationship with imagination. It's got me into trouble a couple times, especially when I was much younger. However, if imagination is one of the 12 faculties or attributes that is inherent within me, because unity tells us whether we're aware of it or not, we are one with the divine, then those powers, attributes, facilities of the divine have to be within me. So I needed to take another look at imagination. I want to pause here. I'm sure most of you have heard the analogy of the ocean and the wave to explain our oneness with the divine. If there is anyone new here, I'd just like to share it again. The ocean represents God, and each wave represents a human being. Each wave is as unique as a human being, yet each wave has all the properties of the ocean. You cannot separate a wave from the ocean. The wave originates from the ocean and dissipates back into the ocean. It is, as Jesus says in John chapter 10, verse 30, I and the Father are one. Therefore, if we are one with the divine, we do have those qualities, powers, faculties within us, just waiting to be claimed, activated, and nurtured. And learning about the power of imagination, I discovered why I get into trouble with it. It is because of the consciousness I choose to act from. It is said that we filter our ideas through our consciousness, and the quality of the idea is dependent on the consciousness we use. So there's two consciousnesses. There's human consciousness and the Christ consciousness or divine consciousness. If I filter my ideas through my human consciousness, I'm filtering it through my ego. I am not concerned about what my idea does to others, how it impacts them. I'm only concerned about its benefit to me. How will it affect me? If I filter my ideas through divine consciousness, Christ consciousness, they are being filtered through love, joy, compassion, strength. When we filter our ideas through divine consciousness, we are concerned about our fellow. How is this idea going to impact others? Is it for the betterment of others? Is this idea reflecting the infinite possibilities of goodness? Imagination is called values neutral, which means imagination just is. We can imagine the worst or the best for the same situation. So we have a situation where the consciousness we choose to filter our ideas through determines what is created. Over the years, I've become aware of a way to tell which consciousness I'm acting out of. I get an idea and I start to implement it, and if all of a sudden I start feeling like I'm pushing a rock up a hill, where people aren't doing what they said they would or what they're supposed to do, or where did all these hoops come from I'm going to have to jump through? When that starts to happen, I have learned to stop and ask the question, where's this coming from? Self-will or divine will? When our ideas come from divine will, there's a flow, there is a rightness. It is as if it was always meant to be. Interestingly, the odds of having more divine ideas be filtered through our Christ consciousness than our human consciousness is in direct relationship to our spiritual wellness. The more we become aware of and live from our Christ consciousness, the more you'll find your ideas have flow. They're right. They're good. So our idea has become a concept in our mind. Now we begin to envision the idea. Starts to become real in our mind's eye. Begins to take shape, dimension, vitality, texture. Vision begins to flesh out an idea, making it seem as if you've already seen it or experienced it, yet you know you have not. We are envisioning the idea into existence. Remember our food exercise? When we added the place, the smell, the taste, the emotion, the idea, your food. We're envisioning the idea of your favorite food. We're making it real in your mind. Now, to bring the vision into reality, we need to embody it. We need to start living the vision as if it is already occurring. I did not become a non-smoker until I saw myself as a non-smoker and acting as if I was a non-smoker. As long as I saw myself as a smoker trying to quit smoking, I just kept smoking. Think of a goal you have achieved. Something you set out to do and you did it. Think about how you achieved that. Did you act as if it was already happening? Because in your mind, you had already envisioned it. Acting as if embodies the vision you hold in your mind. Conception, vision, embodiment are critical components of imagination. Yet, it does not become, what is imagined does not become reality until you act with faith. Faith linked with imagination is the force that moves divine ideas from the invisible to the visible. In Matthew chapter 17, verses 14 to 20, we hear Jesus tell us how much faith we need. In this story, there's a man kneeling and begging, asking for someone to heal his epileptic son. Jesus stops, and the man says to Jesus that your disciples tried, but they failed to heal this child, my son. Jesus, even in his frustration at the disciples' inability to comprehend their inherent capability to heal, turns to the young boy and heals him. Later that evening, the disciples say to Jesus, why did we fail? In Matthew chapter 17, verses 20, we hear what Jesus said. He said, because of your little faith. For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. We have imagined, what we have imagined does not become reality until we draw upon faith. I think of imagination like electricity in my apartment. I come home late in the evening, the apartment's dark, and I know I have the capability to have light immediately, because behind all the walls, it's all there just waiting to happen. The wiring's run, it's run into the panel, it's run into the switch. All I need to do is turn the switch on and I will get light. That's like imagination. We have captured an idea, we've brought it into conception, we have envisioned it into reality in our mind, and we are ready to make it happen. But until we draw upon and act from faith, it will just stay a vision in our mind. With the faith the size of a mustard seed, partnered with divine imagination, you can create a life where no matter what is occurring, you can live in peace, grace, and love. I'd like you now to open up that little envelope you have and see inside a small seed. It's a mustard seed. Place it in the palm of your hand. Feel its lightness. Feel how small it is. This is the faith you need to power your imagination. Reverend Linda Martell Whitsett advises us, dreamers are energy weavers. Dreamers change reality. Dreamers access unseen power. We know that power is faith, and so it is.